Okay, I guess we'll get started because we're at well, about 5 minutes after. We have a couple people. I think people just pop on and off, so we'll just get started. So first off, thank you for everybody for joining us for my very first webinar. So this is first ever, actually first of the series too. And I'm really glad that Todd is here with me as well. I hope you guys can see us and you can hear us okay. And if not, just let us know so we can play with our settings. And basically wanted to just have this webinar because I've been thinking about doing this forever and have just never had really the courage to do it, or um, I'm really much an introvert, very much an introvert. So I can do YouTube and I can do radio shows and I can talk to you on the phone. But when it comes to this kind of environment, this is all new to me. So bear with us. We're trying to work our way through here. So I brought Todd on. He's actually my personal life coach, and Todd has helped me tremendously in the last couple months just to kind of weave through the fog of thoughts and ideas and my career. And while I'm here on the webinar basically to share my real estate knowledge, and if you're a subscriber, you already know about what I know. Some of you guys have actually purchased my audiobooks before and listened to my shows and stuff. But Todd is really the person that's like the driver. He's like the fuel behind the knowledge, more or less, because he's the one that's actually helping me to get out there and reach out to you all. So without Todd, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I'll be in the little cubby doing another audiobook, and that's not what I wanted to do. So Todd's been really great. He's a life coach. He has a ministry background also, but he's really got a lot of knowledge in retirement planning. And but really his biggest thing is life coaching. So he is here to and we kind of collaborated, I guess, and feel free to chime in, Todd. We kind of collaborated on getting together and starting to distribute the information that we both have, because we have a lot of combined, we have a lot of really good knowledge and information, and we can help you all. And we wanted to do this for free because right now I don't think a lot of people need help. I think they do need help right now, and we're facing a depression, and people want to explore new ways of how to make money, obviously, but people also faced with a lot of challenges. And so Todd is here to handle the walkthrough, and you can talk a little bit about more of what you do, but basically I want to just share what Todd has done for me, and wanted to bring him here on the show so he can help you too. Maybe he's more of like a relationship guy, and he can help you get clarity with what you want to do with your career and weave through the path of all this information that we have out there, and how to make a better financial future for yourself, or even just a clear path through relationship issues and things like that. So like I said, he does retirement too, and he's helped me a lot. So I think he could be really useful to be here on the webinars, as well as maybe help you in the future. But go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself, Todd, so you can, for in your own words, what you bring to the table, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Very nice to meet everybody. But yes, just like Julia said, I was in retirement planning. That was my career. I did that for the past 10 years, about 10 years. And I enjoyed it. It was a very good career. I enjoyed the relationship aspect of it, especially just working with people one-on-one. But what was funny is towards the end, I started to kind of lose my passion for that. As I mentioned, I really enjoyed the relationships, and obviously when you're in selling and you're selling policies and giving financial advice and things like that, you're constantly focused and worried about finding the next customer, finding the next client. Prospecting is what they call it in the business. And so I really just enjoyed the time of having conversations with clients. And I started to find towards the end of it, I was more concerned about their plans of what they were going to do with the money I was helping them make, or the decisions I was helping them secure. I was more interested in how they're going to make those decisions and what was holding them back. And that's kind of how this whole coaching thing started. Because in sales, like I said, you're always looking to find new relationships. But what coaching is able to have me do is just build that personal relationship, because I believe that's where everything starts, is a relationship of trust, where you can trust the person you're working with or speaking with. And it's not that being an agent was bad for anybody that does that, or anybody that knows that there's absolutely nothing wrong with being an agent and selling policies. That's great. But I just felt I was being pulled in a different direction to work more relationship wise, to really hear people's thoughts. And so the thing I love about coaching is I'm a sounding board. I'm here for you guys to hear your thoughts, hear your concerns, what you may be struggling with, especially in a time like this. We're all struggling. And so your thoughts, your concerns are validated, and we want to make sure you feel that way. I want to make sure you feel that way. And so that's just the biggest thing with coaching, is I just want to see people do what they're put on the planet to do more of, what they enjoy doing, what they love doing. As Julia mentioned, being her life coach, I've been able to help her with some business ideas and some different things with her business to just help her start doing the things she loves. And I'm passionate about providing that for anybody else that wants that as well. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to meet you guys. I'm very excited. Can't wait to hear your guys' challenges and what's going on, and would love to get to meet you guys individually. So thanks for having me, Julia. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for being on. And we'll talk a little bit more of how you can reach us afterwards. But I really just wanted to piggyback on what you said about working on getting people's trust, basically, and working with them. That's a really big part of real estate investing. What I found is that we can read all the books that we want to, we can buy all the audiobooks and listen to all the shows and participate in webinars. Really, in the end, when it comes down to it, it's talking to people. And your success is going to depend on how well you can talk to people and have relationships with people and have them trusting you. And that'd be government officials or other investors or other buyers and sellers. So this is like the one puzzle piece I think that's been missing in all my career, because it's the one puzzle piece I've avoided to put in place. So I'm really glad that you're here. So
thank you.
Wanted to just go ahead and I guess open the floor to see if anybody wanted to ask some questions, and you can do that with a chat. And I know it'll take a minute for you guys to write it up, or you can actually even, I guess, unmute your phone if you want to. And just,
yeah, it doesn't need to be through chat. They can just come in right now and we can unmute them.
Yeah, and just interrupt us if you feel like it. And without that, I actually have a whole bunch of questions that were sent to me while I was registering people, and we can just get to those. And I guess we could start with those, I guess, and then you can just, chime in and see what you think about this, Todd.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I had a question yesterday from Yvonne, and she was asking me if the courts are still open, and is it still possible to make deals right now? Now, a lot of people contact me because they have questions about tax sale foreclosure investing, obviously, because that's one of the things that I do, but also overage investing. And for those of you that don't know what overage investing is, that's basically when properties are being sold at auction, at forced sales, basically. And there's and the bid method is a method where the money paid goes up according to whoever bids the highest amount, I guess. And there is a delta created between what's owed and what is eventually paid. That overage then is deposited with government agencies for the original owner to collect. And there's a really big push right now by all kinds of people and small-scale investors to get their hands on that overage and collect that overage for the original owner that sometimes doesn't even know that it's there, or you know, it might be somebody who deceased, or you know, the heirs don't know anything about it sitting there. And what happens is when that money sits with government agencies for a long time, and there's a time limit in some cases, that it's forfeit. And what that means is that it actually goes to the government agencies and they just keep it. And so a lot of people are really trying to get their hands on that money and sending that money to the original owners and collecting a fee. And the fee can sometimes be up to 50% or even more. It depends on how the contracts are written. But what's been happening is that there are people out there now that are trying to basically collect on that overage and collect that. And there's a big push on selling programs teaching people how to do that. So when they talk about overage investing, I'm really always hesitant to tell people to get into that, because I consider it a cash recovery business. It's not really real estate investing. You're not buying real estate. You're not renting real estate. You're not using all the 5 dimensions of real estate investing. And you're just really using one, which is the cash. And once the cash goes into your bank, you spend it, it's gone. You know, you don't have all these other benefits of building equity, amortization, depreciation, expenses that you can deduct of your taxes or anything like that. So there's all these dimensions of owning real estate that you don't take advantage of when you engage in that. And the effort that's associated with all the research is really the same as actually buying real estate. So I tried to give people the whole picture when we're talking about real estate investing, and overages investing is just a really small piece that doesn't really get you where you want to go. And the end goal, of course, is to be financially independent and not have to work for your living. That's really the goal, or as little as possible anyways. So in other words, you want your real estate to work for you instead of you working for your real estate. So, but anyways, let's talk about what the question was. The question was, are there courts still open to do deals? And at the moment, most everything, I believe, is closed. I think it's that way pretty much everywhere. Even, you know, where you are, Todd, I think you're in Iowa, right? And
I am in Iowa, yep.
Yeah, I don't know where the other people are, participants are actually joining us from. But I did do a radio show just about an hour ago, and there is a website, and it's actually a consumer.gov, consumer.org.gov or something, and it talks about basically this mortgage moratorium, which is basically a stay that's been put in place that no foreclosures are allowed to happen right now. And that goes for federally backed mortgages as well as for tax foreclosures. So, but this moratorium is not in place for every state. So you would have to go on the government website and find out if your state is included, and if it's not, then and the auctions are happening online for the most part, then there probably are still happening, and there's still deals to be had. But coming back to overage investing, you know, I'm switching around. And guys, please feel free to ask questions and interrupt us, because I can keep talking for 2 hours, as you know. What I was going to ask you, Todd, actually, is a question for you, is in terms of overage investing, what, and I kind of explained the concept of what that is. A lot of people have come to me in the past, and the biggest problem that they have is how do you find, first off, the original owners, which I can help them with that. That's a technical answer. But how do you approach people that have just lost their home and try to negotiate any kind of deal with them? I mean, what would be the steps to, not maybe the steps, but from a personal side, I mean, how would you do that? Because that's always something I've always had a problem with as well, is reaching out to people basically in their distress, and kind of, you know, even be able to reach them. And I can give you an example of
So,
what had that happen once before, yeah. Oh, your sound is off, so you gotta turn on your sound. Sorry. Your sound is off. Todd, hold on. You're muted.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Okay. All right, go ahead.
So, but I was just asking, can you kind of go a little more in detail with that?
Yeah. So, for example,
I think Rosemary actually has a question, or she made a comment. Rosemary, if you want to go ahead, you can come on.
I think she's typing. So, she's saying, well, you can read it too, but I can read it. She says she's going to do overage business, but stopped for the same reason as me, not building any real estate portfolio. Yeah, that's correct. Well, and also, Rosemary, my main reason with this is I'm just not very good. I really have a hard time stepping out and actually talking to people. It's not as bad with real estate, but actually picking up the phone and calling somebody is a big issue for me, and especially getting something from them when they've just lost a home. It's hard for me to reach out to somebody like that, and you don't know if they're gonna like rip off your head or they're just gonna ignore you. And how do you get somebody on a page with you? How can you emphasize with somebody enough to even get them talk? Let me give you a specific example. I don't know if this helps. So a couple years ago, I bought some real estate at an auction in Macon, Georgia, and the owner had died, and he had about 40 properties in the same city, and they were all rentals. They had other businesses too. They had a restaurant, and the heirs were 5 children basically, and they were running their restaurant business successfully. They really didn't have anything to do with the real estate rentals. So when the owner, the dad, basically the older dad, died, they're like, okay, what do we do now? So 2/3 of the properties were in such bad shape and repair, they just decided to let it go. And that's, that was over 30 properties that they just decided to let go. They stopped paying the taxes on them. Properties went to an auction. I bought 2 of them. So I was really new to this business, didn't know how to even go about next steps or anything. So my idea was, let me just go to these kids, these heirs, and have them sign the properties over to me. That way I don't have to go to the lawyers, and I don't have to pay the legal fees, and I can just take possession and use the properties right then and there. And I went to the restaurant because I knew that's where they worked. And they literally, I ordered food even, and they came and served my food, and I asked them about, what I was wanting them to do, and just taking their properties off their hands, and they didn't want it anyways. They just didn't want to talk to me. I absolutely refused to even acknowledge the fact that I asked that question, let alone picking up the phone and talking to them. They wouldn't. I mean, how would you approach a situation like that from the personal side? How should I have done that anyways?
I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, obviously, whenever you're dealing with relationships, the thing I try to do is put myself in the other person's shoes, to see their perspective and how they would be feeling. So, it could have just been something as simple as maybe you caught them at a bad time. Maybe they were stressed with work and what was going on. They were still sensitive to grieving the loss of their father. That's kind of tricky and delicate. But first off, because I mean, did you have any way to communicate or contact with them outside of showing up at their business?
Well, I tried to call them.
Or no?
I tried to call.
Okay, and they didn't respond?
No, and this will actually come up a lot. This is not just this one example, but especially if you want to get into overage investing, that's what you'll be doing all day, is calling people and asking them to sign a contract with you for a little bit of money, and you getting a little bit of money too. But what do you do when people just don't want to talk to you?
Yeah, that's a really tough one. If I was able to come in contact with somebody, I would first off let them know I'm very sorry for your loss. I understand this is probably the last thing you want to deal with right now or consider. Just kind of, empathize with them and make it relatable. Like you can relate to them, what they're going through, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And also be sure to communicate exactly why you're there. Hey, I don't want to bother you or disturb you, but I just, I'm needing you to sign this paperwork for the property. Again, I understand. I'm so sorry for your loss. If this is an inconvenient time, I apologize. Is there a better time? Maybe I can get a hold of you. Just kind of reach with people. But again, if they're not saying anything at all, or there's no communication, that's really tough. I mean, especially if you've gone out of your way and extended an invitation, and they haven't taken you up on that. That's kind of tough. I don't know really what the next steps would be. So you were saying you would go to the court if they didn't cooperate with you, or
Well, what ended up happening is that we just took possession of the property. It was vacant anyways, so we just went and changed the locks. And this is a kind of like a really depressed area of Middle Georgia, so I ended up just giving the property away to another buyer for really cheap because I really couldn't get rid of it in any other way. And that's another thing I wanted to mention for you all that are listening. If you're buying tax sale foreclosures or getting into any kind of real estate deals, it's like this idea of, I'm going to have land and I'm going to have a house, and that's the final goal, the lofty goal that everybody wants. But you sometimes get something you really don't want, or else you don't want to deal with the issues associated with it, such as what we just discussed, having to deal with the previous owner and the legal work. So one of my attorney friends that always goes to the auction here always says, Julia, it's not always about what you buy, but what you don't buy that's more important. And we regularly observe people buying some really bad properties. This is why it's really, really important to do your due diligence, to do your research, and to really know what you're going into. But also it's important to and you can chime in on this, Todd, it's important to make mistakes. I mean, don't go into any business venture or anything without expecting to make mistakes, because a lot of times it's a shortcut to learning. And that's kind of like also why I brought Todd. He kind of knows these concepts really, really well. So in terms of, how do you need to advance your career and not to be afraid of making mistakes? So that particular property was a mistake for sure. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I don't know if it was a mistake, but you just ran into an unfortunate situation. But at the same time, I would tell people don't carry guilt or shame for having to contact somebody to have to do what you have to do. I mean, it's the same as when my dad passed away. People still approached us about if we were going to do burial or cremation, the plot, all those types of things. And that was actually in the hospital when he passed, probably like a few hours later. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's good to have empathy, and it's good to be patient and understand that grieving process. But at the same time, don't beat yourself up saying, I shouldn't do this right now. I mean, life has to go on. People are going to understand that. And as long as you come to them in a respectful, courteous way, where it's not, you're impatient or you just don't seem too appreciative or like, hey, I need this done, and it's just a quick transaction. I think more than not, people are going to work with you and understand and want to help you out.
Mm-hmm.
But in your type of situation, that's hard. When they're not listening, they're not really looking to accommodate what you're trying to do. So, but that's the biggest thing I would advise is, life does go on. Don't have guilt or shame because you need to make some of those calls that are going to be uncomfortable. And just like you said, life is an experiment. It's about trial and error. You're going to figure some things out that work, and then you're going to figure some things out that don't work. And the things that don't work, it's not a failure. You're just learning as you go, you know, so you don't make the same mistakes over and over again. So that's what I would say for the relationship side. And then again, as Julia mentioned, I don't have any knowledge on the real estate. It's very small, but I do hold a vast knowledge in retirement and retirement planning. That's what I did for about 10 years. But for any technical type questions, just to let you guys know, Julia would be the one to go to for that. But again, but just like you say, relationships is huge.
It is huge.
And so if you have a good relationship with the person you're working with, you're just going to feel that much more comfortable and confident in any requests you have or any duties that need to be done, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, I agree.
I think Rosemary had a comment too, if she wanted to jump in here or say her thoughts.
Yeah,
unless
she said,
unless you're comfortable chatting too, that's fine.
Yeah, sure. I think we're comfortable with texting, and we can read too. So a lot of people actually, and Rosemary, I'm glad you typed that, because a lot of people that have contact me for overage investing specifically, and that's this business model that I just described, to basically skim something off the top of somebody else's money by helping them find it, which is basically debt collection, but it's the reverse of debt collection, where you're collecting somebody else's money for them. But what I always told everybody, and I'm glad that you've seen this too, is if you're going to do all this research of trying to find the owners, trying to call them, trying to establish a relationship, being on the phone all day, keeping your pipeline full with more accounts that are sitting in government offices that belong to somebody else. And of course, you also have to learn how to read property records, because you have to find out what position you are in this overage, because the overage will always be the thing that's collected last. Well, after all other liens are paid off, and it could be the mortgage, could be an IRS lien, could be hospital lien, could be the city's grass cutting lien or whatever, or some contractor lien. Everything has to be paid off first. But you, as the investor, the overage investor, you have to know where to find all of this, and to see what is even going to be left on any one overage, because you're going to be the very last person to collect on that money, whilst everybody else has to be paid off first. But the point is that if you're going to do all of this research, and trust me, we're talking about mistakes here, Todd and I, you're going to run into a lot of question marks, and you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to know which way is up and which one's down. But if you're going to go through all that effort to research this, and go to the courthouses and ask those questions of the officials there, which, by the way, again, you need relationships, because whole nother story, I can tell you guys about that. But if you're going to do all of that, you might as well go to the auction and buy a house or lien or deed. And this is a property that's, especially in times like these, where we have a recession on our hands here any moment. I mean, it is coming. It's not even if it's coming, it's a certainty that it's coming. Real estate is that's the ideal thing to buy right now. It's the ideal thing to hold right now. If you have it, don't sell it, because people will always need to have a place to live. So you'll always be able to capitalize on the rents. You'll always be able to use that real estate, if it's good real estate, of course, and make a profit. And again, you buy an asset. You're not buying liabilities, and you're not getting yourself into a job. But if you're going to go into overage investing, the work that you have to perform is much the same as when you would be buying a property. So it's really good for Rosemary and whoever else is on the call to understand that it's important to, if you want to get into overage investing, that's something you can get into if you have absolutely no money, because it's easy to do. You don't need to invest anything up front other than your time. But always have in mind that the purpose of that money that you're making is to actually buy your own real estate and build your portfolio. And like I always say, the 5 dimensions of the asset class, or there's actually more than 5 even, of the asset class real estate really surpasses any other investments, and very, very much tax favored. You got amortization, of course, where if you have a mortgage, somebody else is paying the mortgage off for you because they're renting the place from you if you have investment real estate. Of course, the tax savings, you have depreciation expenses, which is a huge expense you can write off on your taxes every year. Your property is likely, if you choose the right property, increase in value. So you have the equity building aspect of it. You can leverage that equity for additional loans to buy additional real estate. Of course, the cash flow from the rents, if you have a remainder, and rents, I don't see them going down anytime soon, maybe for a little while during this recession, but I doubt it. And yeah, and you have inflation, you're deflecting inflation. So your money is in a very, very safe, very secure investment, and it's, real estate's always going to be there. The value of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, the value is not just the monetary value, but the fact that somebody can actually live there, and people will want to live there if it's a good property. So that actually brings me to another question I had from Cindy. What is the best way to start with the least amount of money to get that money to buy bigger investments? Well, what I always taught people is to overage investing is one of the ways. If you go to my YouTube channel, there's actually 2 or 3 videos that I made a couple of years ago, and you can type in seed, that's SEED. That's basically giving a couple of ideas how to get your seed money for real estate investing and how to get those starting funds. I can tell you how I started, because I started with pretty much zero. I had nothing. But the way I started is, I started renting rooms on Airbnb in my own place. I had roommates for a long time, and they were switching every day. So that was really good. I also used cash advances from credit cards. I don't have any rich relatives or friends or family, and I couldn't borrow any money from them. But if you have that, by all means, go for it. And I did all kinds of other things. I'd buy huge lots of books, for example, from libraries, and would sell them online on half.com or eBay or something. So I would make a couple $100 every month. I'd go to storage shed auctions. So I don't know if you've seen these shows called Storage Shed Wars, or what's it called? Storage Wars? I don't know. Todd, you've probably seen those shows before.
I actually haven't, but I think that's the name of it. Yeah, Storage Wars.
Yeah, so basically people don't pay the rent on the storage sheds. They also foreclose on those too. And you basically just show up when it's advertised in the paper and buy everything in there. And then you turn around and have a yard sale. You can make $500-$600 per pop, depending on what you buy. And there's your starting cash. And take that money, turn it around, go to tax sale, like a tax lien certificate sale, which is the cheapest ones you can get for $100-$200, and then sit and see if you can make the interest. So the least amount of money is, that's a couple of good ideas, but the point is to just do it. I mean, don't sit on your behind. don't rest on your laurels, as they say, and just figure out something. Have that entrepreneur mind going all the time. Even in times like these, this is the way. And this is what Todd and I were doing yesterday, actually. We're trying to figure out a way, of course, to help you guys. And, we're not trying to line our pockets or anything, but we actually really just want to reach out and help. But, is there a way for us to help more people? So we decided to do these webinars and invite people to join us and participate with us and talk to us, ask questions. So yeah, I'm really glad everybody's on. We're going to have another session too tonight at 8 p.m. and on Saturday at 6 p.m. I don't know if this was really a good time for everybody. I figured we'll do a daytime and a nighttime one as well. And I'm getting all kinds of really good questions actually from people as well. We can get into. But anyways, did you want to talk a little bit about more, Todd, what you're trying to get into with your coaching, or what kind of coaching you want to offer people as well? conjunction with what I have, of course, people.
I'm sorry,
I
what
was
was that?
just, I was asking to see what kind of coaching are you um, offering people at this point? Because I kind of mentioned that we have a couple webinars coming up, but I wanted to just see
Mhm.
if you have what kind of coaching do you offer people right now? What are you working with people on right now that could maybe help people in a time like this?
Yeah, definitely. Gotcha. So just like Julia mentioned, in a time like this, a lot of people are just concerned about spending any type of money. How to spend money, how could you spend money in a time like this, in a crisis? A lot of different things are going to go through your head. You're going to have those internal battles where you're going to have to fight yourself. And so you kind of hit on it before. The biggest thing is knowing why you're doing something. What are the reasons behind it, especially when you start to get distracted and some of the pitfalls come and roadblocks. You have to have a big enough why of why you want something done or why you're making a decision. And
Mm-hmm.
so with me, with coaching, whenever I work with somebody, I at first just like to do what's called just a complimentary call, and that's about 15 minutes. That doesn't cost anybody anything, but what I do is I just take about 15 minutes to see if I'm sorry, did my video cut out there? Apologize. So I just take about 15, 20 minutes on that call to see if we're a good fit, to see what you're trying to accomplish, to make sure that I'm a good fit for you and you're a good fit for me. And then kind of I go more in detail after that 15-minute session if we think we're going to be a good fit and a good match. But like you were saying, a lot of it is just giving you the willpower, the confidence to be confident in the decisions you're making, not second guessing, not saying, thinking to yourself, oh, I wish I wouldn't have made that decision, or I wish I would have done this or that. Because so many people in life live with regret. And what I really like doing, one of the main reasons I coach is so people aren't living with regrets. They're doing what they want to do. They're not having any regrets in life, and they're living out life how they want to. And that's what I enjoy doing. I love doing because so much creativeness and energy is behind everybody. But sometimes we all need help just getting that out. And so sometimes when people talk to me about coaching, they think I'm going to devise this plan and just tell them what to do. Okay. But that's not the case. What coaching is, I want to get the ideas out of you. I want them to come from you. I want to bring the greatness out of you. I will steer you and help you along the way and ask you some tough questions and do some homework assignments with you to kind of dig deep. But I'm not going to necessarily tell you what to do. So anytime I'm coaching somebody, I have them come up with a plan. It was similar to when I started coaching you, and you can kind of chime in on this as well, there were very minimal times where I ever said you need to do this or that. We just worked together. You came up with the ideas, and you're like, what do you think of this? Actually, if I do this, I just kind of helped you create those ideas and that energy. Yeah. And so that's the biggest thing I want to say for people that are looking for coaching, because I think it can benefit everybody. It's just being that sounding board. It's bringing that inner creativity out of you, and it's bringing that confidence in you to make a decision. So even in real estate purchases or whatever the endeavor may be, you feel confident about what you're doing. You feel good about what you're doing. Nothing is going to go perfect. A lot of times things are going to be off kilter, not go to plan. But how do you respond to that? Not react, but how do you respond? And so that's just what I help people. And the big thing too is getting clarity on what you want out of life. I've worked with a lot of people when it comes to personal relationships. I love doing that, but it's also career. It's also to where retirees, especially what I did before, they were getting ready to retire. And so they lost, in a sense, their identity because they didn't know what to do anymore. They weren't working anymore. Their income situation was changing. And so a lot of times in these types of ages and situations, you kind of have lost your identity and you're looking for something new. You're looking for a new venture, like you do, like real estate. So that's what people are looking for, but they also want to have some assurance and confidence behind the decisions they're making. And so that's where someone like me comes along and just kind of can help you walk through everyday challenges and what are some goals? What are some long-term goals you're looking to accomplish? What are you hoping this real estate purchase or investment does? What are the big takeaways you want done? Who's it going to affect? It's not just going to affect you. How's it going to help other people around you? Yeah, I mean, it's just a number of different factors. And as you can tell, I'm just very passionate with working with people. That's why I pursued coaching and left retirement planning. Retirement planning kind of created that seed. It gave me that introduction. But what I love about coaching is there's no time limit, really. I can work with my clients and my students. I can work with them in a large amount of time, and I don't feel rushed, and I don't need to pressure them into any type of sale or anything like that. And as I mentioned before, sales are great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I like the one-on-one relationship aspect of things. And so again, I just want you to wake up in the morning and feel good about the direction your life is, where you see things. And again, that's a hard thing right now with this virus going on and all the circumstances. I totally understand that. Mm-hmm. And understand that it's okay to not feel okay at times. So many people, trip themselves up because they're like, why am I in this rut? Why am I struggling right now? I give you permission to be okay with not feeling okay right now. I mean, it's gonna happen. It's normal. We're under a pandemic. There's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know how long this thing's gonna last. But this more than ever is why I feel people need coaches, is just, again, to have that reassurance, calm down. Let's look at big picture. This will pass. The storm will pass. What are some things you want to do now? And this is one thing too. There's a ton of negative things about it.
And also looking at what do they have right now to even work with from the financial side,
Yep, yeah. Exactly. And so there's a ton of negative things about this virus, but I would say one positive is it's giving people time to really assess their priorities and what's important in life. And now you have that time to do some of the things you've always wanted to do, like real estate, whatever else it may be. A lot of times people have not even necessarily bucket lists, but they have things they want to accomplish, but they put that off from working, or they put that off from their busy rigmarole of their job or whatever's going on, to where now you actually have that time to set aside that you can get your thoughts clear and tackle some of the things you've always wanted to do. And that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I want to help people achieve. So
awesome. I think you actually have a question too, a retirement related question. So
sorry, I'm pulling up the chat here. So I have an IRA with precious metals. I would like to convert it to cash to buy a home for when the market is lower. Is this wise to do? What would still need financing? What should we expect in the lender requirements during a recession?
Well, I can tell you about the lenders.
Yeah, go ahead. And then I'll come in.
Yeah, at least that part I know about. So that we're going to see some awesome, amazing financing options coming our way. I mean, the interest rates on mortgages right now are so extremely low. I've never seen them this low. So if you have a mortgage or you have some sort of real estate and you need to refinance it, for example, I'm going to do the same thing. But if you want to get new financing right now, the mortgage lenders are going to be fighting over you. If you have a halfway decent credit rating and have, already real estate for refinancing, of course, but if you have, you're in good standing with your loans and credits and your income to debt ratio, they're going to be fighting over you. So I'm actually sitting, and I totally see where you come from. I'm actually sitting in my seat right now, and I'm just looking at my clock, and I'm just waiting. Okay, I'm going to wait this off a couple more weeks because they're going to be calling me and wanting to give me money. So that's what I'm really waiting for. It's going to be, if you have real estate right now, it's going to be an amazing time to refinance. In terms of lender requirements, I think you're going to have much less stringent requirements for if you have good credit rating, of course, they're still going to check you out. But I think everything's going to be really relaxed because banks are going to be hurting to make money, and they have to catch up in the recession. So I believe and don't quote me on this because, you know, that's just my opinion, my thoughts. We're going to have some really, really good offers from banks available to us here really soon. So in terms of selling an IRA, I don't know. That's Todd's area. I personally, what I did with my IRAs a couple years ago, I got rid of all my IRAs and bought real estate. But what I did keep was what's called a Roth IRA, which is an IRA where you can withdraw money from at, I guess it's 59.5, right, Todd? Tax free.
Yes.
Tax free. So
Well, no, it's 59.5 to
59.
avoid the 10% penalty
Okay,
that
got
the
it.
government puts on you. But all the money is taxable from a traditional IRA, but a Roth IRA, as long as you have it in there 5 years, it's all tax deferred. So you pay no taxes on it as long as you've had it for 5 years. So that's a good point. You want to make sure if it's a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA.
So
Sorry,
I
not to
haven't.
cut you off. Go ahead.
No, but you can chime in on this because I've actually
Yeah.
talked to this with another mentor, and this might be useful information. So even though I took all my money out of my regular IRAs and bought real estate like many years ago, I did keep the IRAs open. And what I've recently done, and you can consider this as well, what they have is self-directed Roth IRAs.
Mm-hmm.
And in those self-directed Roth IRAs, you can actually buy real estate. So if you're looking to buy real estate with an IRA that has precious metals in it, I'm venturing to say that it's a self-directed Roth IRA already. But if not, you can convert it to a self-directed Roth IRA. You just have to go through a different provider, I guess. And then I would basically not convert it, but just keep all the money in it, but then use the IRA to make the purchase of real estate. That's what I would do. I don't know how exactly that would be structured, but that's more like Todd's area, I guess.
Yeah, so I would agree with you on that. And then just a little side note, I'm just not big into commodities right now, with metals, gold, silver, things like that. So, and everybody has different opinions, different views on that. But that's just kind of my 2 cents. I'm not very big in commodities right now. I don't know if they will bounce back. But Julia, you're exactly right about lending and the banks. I mean, we will bounce back from this. You know, it's a recession right now, but things will start to stabilize and become normal. And so you're spot on. So it looks like I taught you well.
Yes. Yes.
But does that answer your question? Whoever that was, and I'm sorry I didn't see. Was it Rosemary that had the question, or somebody else?
And she says she's concerned about the fees for the services to use the IRA with a conversion from regular to traditional. So what you'll have to do when you convert it from a traditional IRA to a Roth, I believe you have to pay taxes for that year that you do that conversion, I believe.
So hold on. I'm trying to understand. So Rosemary, is this a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA you're referring to right now?
Yeah, because with a Roth, like
traditional. Okay. Yeah. So in that case, you're not going to be able to convert that. The Roth IRA has to start out as a Roth because the traditional IRA is all taxable money that you take out. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to convert a traditional IRA into a Roth IRA.
Are you sure about that though?
Yeah.
Okay. Unless you pay whatever, you take the payout and just buy another. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can take it out, but you're going to have to pay taxes on that money. So it's not necessarily the fees, it's the taxes that you have in that traditional IRA. But yes, you could do that. You could cash it out, but then you're going to owe taxes. And roughly the taxes are going to be probably about 30% of whatever the traditional IRA's value is.
And if
so it would be a big loss in that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the part that.
So I wouldn't advise against that. What is your current age right now, Rosemary? Are you over 70 and a half or not? Mid 60s. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, if you have a traditional IRA, it's just going to be taxable income that you're going to have to report. So that's the thing. I mean, you can do it, but it's going to be a loss, and you're going to take a pretty decent sized hit on the taxes that you're going to have to claim on your income. You want to be careful about that. And this is something I can maybe work with you more individually. So, because I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but you want to make sure that that doesn't bump you into a different tax bracket, because then you're paying a different tax bracket. That's going to be permanent. So there's a lot of things you want to weigh and consider. So if it's okay, I definitely want to kind of go more in depth and more in detail with you in a later session.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and also, of course, I mean, whenever we're talking about taxes, you're getting into my area of expertise. Todd, your video is cutting out. Oh, there's back again.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's a whole nother area with taxes, and so we're have to weigh the advantages and disadvantages of it, that I always do, because of course, if you have real estate investments, it's another big advantage is you really can kind of lean your taxes whichever way you need it in any one particular year, because you don't have to report all your expenses, so you have a little bit of a freedom of what your tax return looks like. And I'm not saying anything illegal here. Is you just, if you want to show that you have more income, then you just report all your taxes, but you don't have to. The government will gladly take your money if you choose to show a higher income level. So this is where, it's really great that when you have real estate, you can do that. But if you have no real estate investments, you're kind of fixed with whatever your income is. You can't move that around a little bit. So, and Todd, your video is out again. But I hope that answered the question. So I have a couple more questions, but I think we have another session tonight at 8. And these are really specific questions. I think I want to address these when the people that actually asked them are on the call, and I don't see them on the call right now.
And then I'll,
yeah. I was just going to say, Yvonne Douglas just joined us, and I did actually answer your question earlier before you were on, Yvonne, about whether the courts are still open, if there's still good deals to be had. We are actually recording this webinar, so I can send you the link and you can watch it, which answers your question as well. But also, if you wanted to join in later on at our session tonight at 8, you can do that as well. I think we're going to have more people in the evening session anyway. I just didn't know what time to schedule these, what's good for everybody. But we have an 8 p.m. session planned tonight. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. And we have another session at 6 p.m. on Saturday. And I think we agreed that we're going to continue these calls for the next week at least. So if you missed part of it, or if you wanted to be part of more discussions, I have a number of questions that I received that I all want to get to. So it'll be overage investing, or tax sale foreclosures, or tax liens, or anything. And yeah, for sure. And yeah, feel free. We have plenty of spots available tonight and tomorrow as well. And I want to get to everybody's questions. And by the way, if you're not comfortable talking on the chat or even in person, feel free to send me your questions via email. And I'm going to send a chat right now to everybody with my email address as well. And I'll just address them like that, and we can both look at them, and Todd can chime in as well. And
yeah, I just posted my email as well, I believe.
Yeah, yours as well.
Sorry, I didn't put the Gmail. I apologize.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll just continue these calls. If you think that they're useful, just give us feedback of what you want to hear more of and what less of. um, like a like I can talk your ear off for hours, and Todd and I together can go for hours for sure. But we want to get to your questions because that's why we're here, and a lot of you have very specific questions. So if you're not comfortable to write them on the chat, just send me an email, and I kind of paraphrase it and try to answer it. And Todd and I'll discuss them before the session. But we really want to make these webinars uh, the least intrusive, I guess, to your life, so that if you wanted to tune in and you don't want to talk or be seen, you just want to hear what we have to say, we'll still address your question. So don't feel like we're not getting to you. Feel free to send them to us. We can continue this, as long as we need to until we have everybody answered. So that gets us, pretty close to the end. I would just say, if you just tune back in tonight. If I'll just send the link for tonight to everybody on the list that signed up. So we'll just see who'll come on, and we'll just go from there. We'll just be back on tonight in the evening time. And I see you just added your email address, so that's good. So you can ask us questions all day throughout the day. I mean, I'll just be answering. So
yep, you can email me at coachtoddarwilson.com@gmail.com. And again, we definitely want to answer these questions, but for a question like Rosemary that's complex and has a lot of moving parts, that's when I'll be more than happy to just offer a quick call out to you that we can set up. So just email me with any questions, and then we can set up a call and kind of go from there. But yeah, it was great to see everybody and have everybody on, and we appreciate it because the afternoon isn't the easiest time, but yeah, we look to have quite a few people here on in the evening session for sure. So
okay, all right. Well, thank you, everybody. We'll see you all tonight.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.